Hello, welcome to Cleekly. Today, we will introduce the game mechanism of the store. We will also summarize and extend the trading mechanism of the store. As an important mechanism that exists in many games, the store is mainly used to provide players with the sale and purchase of items and props. In addition, there may be multiple forms of item trading in games. New items can also be obtained through forging materials, herbs, etc. It is the same logic as spending game currency to get items. This form of bartering can effectively increase the gameplay and provide more ideas for game design. In this tutorial, we'll trade with the store in various forms. First, we will use in-game currency to buy items. And then use the items to trade in the forging house to get a key. When the player enters the designated area with the key and opens the treasure chest, the game can be completed. First, let's do a quick breakdown of the project. From the effect demonstration, we can see that these trading behaviors can be mainly divided into three parts. Part 1. Use money to buy items. For example, use in-game currency to buy 3 iron ingots, 1 design drawing, and 1 toolbox. Part 2. Use a variety of items to exchange for a new item. For example, use the purchased materials to forge a key at the blacksmith. Part 3. Use a new item to trigger an effect. For example, use the key to open a treasure chest. They may seem different, but they are all forms of trading. In the first part, use money to buy items. We will use the object editor to add items to the store to realize its purchase function. In the second part, use the material to forge a key. We will visually show the player that the forging is successful, and the player gets a key in the inventory. But before that, we need an inventory search function to determine whether the player has enough materials to meet the requirements of forging. When the conditions are met, we need to delete all the iron ingots, design drawing, and toolbox, and then create a key. When the materials are insufficient, an insufficient prompt will be given. In the third part, use the key to open a treasure chest. When the player approaches the treasure chest, we visually show the player that the treasure chest is opened and gold coins are obtained. The logic behind it is that when the player enters the area, we check to see if they have a key. If the player has the key, we delete it in the inventory, create an action to open the treasure chest, and finally write the trigger action to get gold coins. Now, let's see how to achieve these functions. To achieve the store effect, we enter the object editor, set the store, the blacksmith, and treasure chest exchange office under unit. Then, we need to customize the items sold in the store, the forging tool, the treasure chest, and the key under item. In item, we customize the items that sold in the store. That is, the iron ingot, design drawing, and toolbox. We also need to customize the forging tool, the treasure chest, and the key. Remember to set the data of these items. In addition, the player gets gold coins when they open the treasure chest. So, we can write the trigger of getting gold coins in the treasure chest. Then, we continue to customize the store, the blacksmith, and the treasure chest exchange office in the object editor under unit. For the unit store, we need to check is shop, which means that items can be sold here. Click to edit, add the items we just set to the store. In the same way, we add the forging tool to the blacksmith's shop. Now, we have finished all the editing in object editor. Remember to place the store, the blacksmith, and the treasure chest exchange office on the map. Part 2 is about using the material to forge a key. we need to set a blacksmith forging tool used event. As the player has clicked to use the tool, we need to delete the forging tool. We also need to set a unit variable, unit lead, to store the unit that made the purchase for later use. Then, we need to set the initial parameters. Set several Boolean variables to represent these raw materials. The initial value is false. Bool sign 1 represents iron ingot. Bool sign 2 represents the design drawing. Bool sign 3 represents the toolbox. When the player has collected all these materials, these three variables will switch to true and return the result to the system. After that, we use a loop structure to determine the type of each item in the inventory. Since our inventory has only 6 slots, we loop from 1 to 6 to search the 6 slots in the inventory in turn. Set a variable item temp as the item in the inventory. If the iron ingot is in the inventory, we need to determine whether the number of iron ingots is greater than or equal to 3. If the condition is met, we set the corresponding Boolean value to be true. The same logic is used for the manual and the toolbox. Here, we use the selection structure to achieve the effect. Then, we use another selection structure to check the status of each Boolean value, to determine if there are enough materials in the inventory to forge a key. When all the 3 Boolean values are true, it means that the player has collected all the required materials. We remove the forging materials held and create a key. If conditions are not met, we prompt that not enough materials to forge. The part 3 is using the key to open a treasure chest. We draw a treasure chest area on the map. When the player enters the area, we set a Boolean variable with the default value to be false. Then, use a loop to traverse the inventory and check if there is a key. If the key is found in the inventory, we set the Boolean variable to be true. After that, we remove the key and play the animation open for the treasure chest. If the key is not found, we prompt "you don't have a key" to the player. It's all set. Let's test the effect. Now, it's time to review what we learned today. Today, we introduced the setting of a store and trading with the store in various forms of currency. As an interactive character, NPC has different forms and functions. They can be a blacksmith using an anvil model or an alchemist using an alchemy table model. It is the basic logic of the game that determines the game rather than the display form. In addition, the resources in the game do not necessarily all appear in the form of gold coins. Materials, items, etc. can all be resources. The interaction between the player and the store is not necessarily all buying and selling, but can also be in other forms such as forging, crafting, and exchange. In fact, the implementation logic of functions such as weapon forging, item crafting, and the acquisition of keys in escape room games is the same as that of trading with stores. Thanks for watching. See you next time.